Are we ready, Jen?
Mike Dulcet,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley. Here. Jim Molitor.
Here.
Oh, no, I'm trying to mute mine. Carol Langford. Danielle Matt. Here. Bing Matt. James Steele Jr.
Una.
Martin Charlo. Len Tuteeth. Lenice Trahan. Both Martin and Len are at the funeral today, Abby.
James, can you give us a prayer this morning?
Lem Lem Shesu Kali. Thank you, Father, for this day. We thank you for, number one, our beautiful homeland that we have. Thank you for all of our people, our families and loved ones, cousins and relatives. We ask for your special attention to those that have lost loved ones in the funerals that are going on today, and keep everyone safe on the roads. Keep our staff safe, our police officers, fish and game officers, those folks that are in the field all the time, and people that are in the military that are our people, our members in particular. Keep them safe. Help us to make decisions today that will be in the best interest of our people. Thank you. Amen.
We have minutes from November 26th, last Wednesday. Abby, when I was speaking of the young fellow running for the Senate, that's Michael Black Wolf, not Blackwell.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the November 26, 2025 minutes with corrections.
I did send a couple corrections to Abby, but I'll second that.
Motion by James and second by Danielle to approve the November 26 minutes with corrections. All in favor? We're unanimous. We have an agenda for today. Anything to add to the agenda? I see we have one walk-in.
Yeah, if we get time.
That is a busy day. Anything else? If not, I'd welcome a motion. Motion by James to approve the agenda with additions. Second by Danielle. All in favor? We're unanimous. Go to the walk-in. Morning, Dan. Come on up.
Good morning. How are you guys doing today? Give me just a second here. So I'm actually gonna record this on a video. So good morning. I figured I'd come in a little earlier this year. So I don't know, I kind of took an undertaking this year. I decided to do some work. I I had a goal in October to get 30 cords of wood in 30 days. And my plan was all the proceeds that I was getting was going to donate to our language program. And I hit the goal. And I'll tell you, it was one of the hardest things I've done in my life. When I was young, I always told myself, man, it would be great if I could get a cord a day. Never did that, so that's why I set that goal. And I'll tell you, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. But I made it happen. And the reason I did it is because, you know, when you believe in something, you work hard for it, towards it. So that was one reason I decided to do that. The other reason was, you know, it's kind of a new chapter in my life to start something else. I been in business for 20 years at my store. That was a big undertaking, a lot of work. But, you know, over the years, I kind of just watch people. I see what they do, and you get to a certain age in your life, you're like, oh, it's, you know, and we're getting close to the end. But not really, you know. You can always progress, you can always build new skills, you can always do something else. So as I was working, I am getting older, it is getting harder. So I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to move forward? And I started thinking, you know, I'm going to start designing some merch. And so I made this shirt here. Something that I'm going to start peddling in my store, making, and the proceeds will go towards my next year goal, for the same reason. So that brings me to right now. You know, last year I did the same thing. Like I said, it's important that we invest in our language. It really is. This year, doing 30 cords, and I sell it for $300 a cord, so that came to $9,000, which put me short of last year. And I would really like to hit that goal that I donated last year. And so I have some shirts that I would like to donate, but I also can't donate them directly to you guys because I understand that. So I can donate them to the tribes, but anybody who wants to purchase one for $100 will get me to that last year's mark. So if any of you would like to purchase a shirt that I donate to the tribes, that'd be much appreciated. But if you don't, you know, it's really hard because, yeah, I've been pretty fortunate throughout my life to where I've be able to do this, you know, and I understand not everybody can do this. It's a tough world out there right now. There's a lot of people struggling. They really are. So that's why I figured, you know, anybody can come up with $100 if they feel like this is a worthy cause. But on the other side, I even was thinking, you know, some people might not even be able to come up with that much. So we do have, and I don't know because, well, I'm not an employee for the tribe, so I don't really worry about it a whole lot. But we have an upcoming election. So I figured if anybody out there can show me that they can go drag somebody to the polls, a couple people, I'll give them a free shirt. Because that's the same thing. You know, it's investing in our future. So, but that's what I'm here to do today, is I had told myself that I would get in here And last year, I received a call afterwards. And this year, they were asking me what I'd like to do with the funds. And I didn't really know at the time. This year, what I would like done with the funds is actually go directly to the employees that are investing their time into the language program. Because I understand that people are struggling. They do make a wage, but it's not like the, greatest thing in the world. So they're taking the time out of their life to go in that direction. And I really appreciate that. So myself, if we can, I'd like to be able to divide it up between the employees who work for the language programs, both north and south, and give them something extra for this holiday season. So that's kind of the reason I put this on video, because I had a lot of people watching me throughout those, and I had a lot of support. So I just want people out there who have been following me, watching what I've been doing, to be able to see how this ended. So, and I just want to appreciate you guys, because I think last year I challenged you a little bit. And I hope we're moving in the right direction. I really do. It means a lot to me. So I think I'm pretty well done with that. And just if anybody has any question, any comments, anything like that.
Well, thank you, Dan, and I'll definitely get a shirt. I got Carol, James, and Danielle.
Yeah, Dan, I'll buy a shirt for $100.
I know. Thank you.
I have to grab my checkbook, but
James?
Do you have are you selling them on the web as well? I mean, can you go online and purchase them?
I don't have an online store yet, but
Okay.
I probably will start going that direction as we're moving forward.
And then do you do Cash App or Venmo or any of
I
those?
can do either or. Venmo is kind of what I've been doing. but-
Okay.
Danielle? And Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I appreciate your personal commitment to our language and our people. It really means a lot, and I think them down on both ends there are going to be really grateful for that little extra support. I wish we could pay them more, because there's no amount of money we can put on our language and our culture and our way of life. And so, yeah, I just got to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and the passion we have for our people, right? And the way we find a way to do it, and blood, sweat, and tears that you put into earning that money to give to them. It's admirable. So a big thank you, and I'll find a way to get a shirt. So
Hey, Jen?
yeah, thank you, Dan. I think your gift is particularly meaningful because you did hard physical labor to do that. I know how hard it is to chop wood. I had to learn how to do it when I got divorced. I almost chopped my foot off. Oh my God. When you learn how to chop around, you realize how hard it is, because I've done it. So you're in a position where you don't have to do this, but you did. You don't have to give, but you did. And that says a lot about you. And I've just been really impressed with, what you've been trying to do in Hot Springs also for the community. And I really appreciate that. And I think that's very inspiring. And this will make a lot of difference. This will make a difference to people. And I know that people will be very grateful for this gift. And I will buy it. I will buy it. Did you bring your merch today?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
well, I'll buy one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got Tom and then Jimmy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan, it's wonderful what you do. Really deeply appreciate it. To allow any language to become extinct, to me it's like one of the 10 commandments that you don't break. You don't allow that to happen. So every person and everybody that motivates to that or provides to it, contributes somehow. You know, you're not a teacher, but you're supporting the teachers, and you're supporting that public service to keep our languages alive. And that's very, very great. I can appreciate the hard labor. I love cutting firewood. Yesterday, I didn't like it. I was cutting down a tree. A couple trees fell over in one of my house's yards, and so I was out there in the snow, bucking up about a cord of wood. That wasn't fun. I didn't load it, but I started cutting wood again with my new hip, and that's about my limit. It's a cord a day. So you're way younger than me, so you can do it more. You got a long ways to go. But I appreciate that. My only question is, do you have a fat size one for me? Because here's $100 for you.
I do.
Okay.
Okay, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Dan, I really appreciate what you just talked about, cutting those 30 cords of wood. I made a living at it one time and then cut a lot of post and poles for years, and it's a job. It's a real job, even for a young guy. It's hard work. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're doing. The teachers that are teaching now realize what it took to get there, and I'm sure hope that they appreciate it. I know they will. I mean, it's and I'm glad you're doing what you're doing so they can teach the youngsters that are coming up. And I got 5 great grandkids that when we have our prayer at home for meals, they do the prayer in Salish. It's pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
So I appreciate all that the effort you're making, what you've done with your life, basically. So much.
Yeah. Thank you.
I got Bing and then Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Daniel, I too appreciate what you do. I know how it is cutting wood. I've cut a lot of cords of wood in my day, and Bear Molitor and I, that's all we used to do is cut wood. And when we get done sawing, we go cut some wood. And to this day, just a couple weeks ago, I went and got a couple of little covered cords with my son, and a little bit harder, but I can still load it and split a few blocks, so it's tough. I appreciate what you do, especially for the language, but I really appreciate what you do with them guys because I've had some relatives that work there too, and it's good that you're doing this for them. And I really appreciate, that work that needs to be done with that group of people, and anything helps them to do their job, it's really appreciated by everybody. And I thank you for what you do, and I'll not Tom will keep going.
Thank you.
Carol?
Yeah, I wonder how you feel about an article in the Charcusta about this. I think this is something that I know other people would probably step up and want to, do some contributions also, but just never seen anybody do it before. And I think, I think it'd be nice to do an article because this is not just a 1-year thing. It's the second year. And I think he's making great contributions to a great cause. If we could do something like that would be great.
Yeah, and Carol, it's really hard because you don't want I want to include everybody in this. And so I don't want it to be just about me. And that's why I'm doing a video here, because there's a lot of people that gave me a lot of inspiration and a lot of, and that's, I think, how we need to move forward. So I think doing an article would be great because I think, I want to give people hope and inspiration, that we can move forward and do something amazing as people. And that's, so I'm not against it, but I just want to, there's just something that I I don't want it all about me because it isn't. It's about us. So. $2,870. So. But I do appreciate you all. I really do.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, Dan. That's very generous. Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely get a shirt. Okay. Thank you this morning. Or should I say lunch?
All right. Thank you. Everybody have a good day, and I'll grab your merch here.
And we had another walk-in for Mark Kutcher.
Going to Mark.
Brown, black, gray, green. On down.
I missed the first half of his presentation.
Yeah.
What is it?
Big size one.
I got extra large and two F. Good for the labels.
Yeah.
Where's the coloring?
2X.
Oh, one extra to two extra. Anybody need it? Brown. I want it brown.
Hey, you can put a lot of money there. That's good.
Give us one.
Yeah.
Mark and yeah.
I try it on. Jen, can I be an executive real quick? Or you can stay. It's just for.
Mike, and then Mark would like executive.
Jennifer, what'd you ask?
Can we go into executive?
We will go out of regular into executive. Morning, Mark. So we have a motion by Jimmy to approve the training of DHRD on the 18th, starting at 11:30.
Starting at 11:30, we'll be returning back at 5 p.m. just to make sure we don't leave anybody out.
Till 5.
And staff knows it's important that we take care of this, so they do this all year.
Second by Danielle. All in favor? We are unanimous.
I want to thank you guys very much. I mean, this staff is always on the go, and I think you guys know what we do at DHRD. I didn't realize, because I was in the transit Quicksilver world, that how much this staff really works. The tiny homes, 125 warming center, it's been a tough year, and they've all came together every time and made things work. So I want to thank you guys very much for this opportunity to have our staff take that afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you, Court.
Where's that Bobcat hat? Where's the Bobcat hat? I got a hat that does both. Yeah.
Art, come on up. Good morning.
Yeah, I guess what I'm here for is to get closed season burn approval like we've been doing for past few years. Still got some work to be done and we kind of try to keep going this time of the year just so we can keep our folks working and we don't have to lay them off or anything. So that's kind of what we're looking at. The areas that we got are Cottonwood, Ferry Basin, and Jetty. And Jetty itself is one that we've got to go slow with, so we can't just get it gone all in a day or two. Its smoke profile tends to sit right down on Highway 93 in the evenings, so we've got to go light on it. So basically, that's what we're looking to get done.
Oh, sorry about that. Motion by Tom to approve the out of season burning for burning piles. Second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Art.
Hey, the Cats are playing Saturday too.
Go Grizz.
And Pat is on.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Exactly. Yes, I want the rematch. I do.
Just a minute, Pat.
Okay.
Yeah, happy holidays, Art. Okay, Pat.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thank you for your time today. Sorry I couldn't be there. Just got some family stuff I had to take care of here at home. So, um, just a couple things. The main reason I'm here is to ask for permission to accept the bids for the central buffer logging unit. So on Wednesday the 24th, or actually it was Monday the 24th of November, bids were received. We had two bidders for the central buffer sale. One was Dupuy Logging, one was Three More Enterprise. Dupuy Logging is the apparent high bid. The minimum was $13 per ton for Douglas fir and others. He put a bid for $29.75 per ton. And then for the Ponderosa Pine saw logs, it was $3 per ton was the minimum, and he put a bid $7.20. That total value with TSI and roads is $542,222.85. Looks like I had a little mistake there. Three more came in, and he just put a cent over the Douglas fir minimum, and he just did the minimum of pine. So I'm just asking to get your permission to accept this apparent high bid.
Any questions? Motion by Tom to accept the high bid. Second by Bing. All in favor? We're unanimous. Pat, the resolution we have is not the resolution for this sale, so we'll need that resolution.
Yeah, and that was kind of my question. It was kind of a mess up. I put in a time for a different matter um, yesterday, and it ended up on there. So usually we don't do resolutions for the acceptance of bid, just the permission to advertise. If that's something we need to do moving forward, that's fine. But yeah, that is a separate matter and a separate request. So yeah, we don't have to talk about that today for sure. I could come in Tuesday and we could talk about it. But I think Steve had something he wanted to talk about as well.
Thanks, Pat. If we don't usually use a resolution, that's fine.
Okay.
Steve.
FYI for the tribal council, out in the central buffer zone, we sold that, and that's what this contract is all about. And we're working on a bridge installation. And we need to close a road down for a week to get that bridge in. I just wanted to give you a heads up that that was going to happen. It's the 3300 road going up, and I got maps if you guys are interested in. But it's there's a lot of woodcutters that are going in there at this point and disrupting the process. So we need to close the road down to try and get that bridge in a timely manner. So we're closed down today and probably till sometime next week. I don't know if we need council action on that, or I'm just informing you.
Don't know that you need action.
You know, we're gonna have signs so that, you know, that they don't get in there and can't turn around or whatever, but
You might contact Rob and he can get word out other ways.
okay. And it's temporary, so, and then once they get the bridge, because right now they're driving right through the creek and that's not good. So.
Questions? Any objection to getting the road closed to get this bridge in? Go ahead, Tom.
Is there private access on that road?
The access is, the only access that's required is for Jor, and it's not that road we're closing.
Okay.
It comes off of that road.
Okay.
And so he still has access to get to his.
It's down lower, and it goes to the south?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about. We used to have keggers there.
No.
You'll have to wait, Tom.
You know, that was a long time ago.
We might have one.
Drinking age was 18.
Jen,
I think Pat, if we had enough time, if he could bring up that resolution, then I could take it off the agenda for next week, if that's possible.
are you still on, Pat?
Yeah, I am.
You want to talk about the resolution?
Yeah, that sounds good. So I'll just bring it up here. Everyone can, oh,
There you go.
okay. So this resolution is dealing with the modification to a contract Boulder Basin logging unit for 3 more enterprise. He has requested an extension to extend his cut and pay date to August 31st, 2026. You know, he had a hard time marketing his Whitewoods up there, and he was having some issues with getting moved in. He was kind of getting some run around from Sun Mountain a bit, and then he was finally able to get a contract, but then he got snowed out of there pretty quick. It's been a pretty tough one, but um, you know, with it being in the same fiscal year, I know we're starting to hand these out a lot, but it's getting harder and harder to get this stuff done, it seems like. So we do support this extension. And since it's within the fiscal year, and so that volume should go in this year, I think we feel pretty comfortable about it. So yeah, that would be it. So I just need this approved resolution to modify the cut and pay date, which is section A6 in that contract.
James,
I make that motion.
motion by James to approve the modification to the Boulder Basin logging unit. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and go Grizz.
Thanks, Pat.
Okay, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
And it is on, Mr. Chairman.
Morning, Janet.
Good morning, Hast Squext. Are you ready for me?
I think we're ready for you.
Okay, great. So I'm just here to request a contract modification for the meat processing plant. Um, we had to have a few change orders. Again, we had some soil stabilization issues. We actually got a refund on part of the gravel that we had already done a change order for. But we also had to increase the size of the propane pad to add a vaporizer to make that so we didn't have to put in as many propane tanks. And then the propane use will be more efficient in the wintertime with that vaporizer. And then also we had to add some gravel for the delivery trucks and crane for the Friesel units. So all told, those three combined change orders equal $37,758.45. And that'll adjust the total contract amount to $3,234,143.45. So I'm just asking for approval of that third modification to the contract that would include change orders 4 through 6.
Questions? Got a motion by Tom and a second by James to approve the modification. I guess it's the third modification to the Camas Creek contract. Any other discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Morning, Miranda.
Good morning, Council. So this morning, you guys are going to have the St. Ignatius School administrators do their Indian education report for the year. So you've got the superintendent. Well, I guess I'll let them introduce themselves. Sorry, but they're here to report.
Morning and welcome.
No, I had a very be working on a 5-year plan, so every 5 years.
If you can turn, Jason, if you can turn the mic on, please.
Sorry. Okay. So every 5 years, we will be going through our 5-year plan again. So I'll send each of you, when we get the survey prepared, the annual goals that we have based on our 5-year plan are in the report. But if you have a chance at some point, in the next 3-4 months, if you could give us some input from the tribal council perspective on what you would like St. Ignatius schools to work on over the next 5 years, we'll be putting that together. We'll get that out to parents, teachers, students. We'll have meetings with community. Of course, at the end of it all in August, we'll be putting out our new 5-year plan. This will probably be about my fifth 5-year plan that we've worked on over the years as either principal or superintendent. But it's nice to be here. Thanks for having us. Most of you know what we do, what we're about. I don't necessarily need to go, I hope, through every detail of what's in our report. The person that did our data last year didn't want to do that again this year. So in terms of our student data compared to our native populations, we don't have as much of a detailed report as we did last year. but we will be hiring someone new to do that. I know bigger schools have someone that works full-time on those sorts of things. We, you know, small schools, we don't have that. We need to pay someone to do that, and we will be adding a new person. So I think Miss Moore on the way up said she was interested in doing that. So we may have hired someone to take care of that for next year, and we will have a much more detailed report for you. Our data in the past has been, I believe, strong when it comes to our native populations, and I feel good about, you know, the success we've had over the years and the things that we do. The systems that we have in our school are positive. We want to be the very best district, not only in the valley but across the state. So that's our goal. I'll open it up just when I'll let the principals each give you a short rundown. I can just tell you, you know, financially, we're very, very solid. We're ahead in terms of, you know, stability. Financially, we're great. Academic achievement is an area that we're working on. You know, pre-COVID, we, you know, had closed the achievement gap. Our achievement gap is still something we're concerned about, but it's really not a giant gap. We have very, very consistent results with all of our students, but academic achievement as a whole is probably our biggest priority. Facilities, we're going to have to put a new roof on the middle school this summer. Outside of that, we have no new construction. We've got the new gym, the new career tech center, new family and consumer science, new metal shop, new wood shop. Those projects are all done. We did a lot of renovations of bringing things up to code and getting things fixed, and added the new building across the street, you know, 3-4 years ago. So in terms of how things are going as a whole, I can tell you that things are positive. The systems that we have in place are positive. We've got outstanding leadership in the elementary, middle, and high school. And outside of that, climate, culture, we continue to survey students, teachers, community, parents, always looking to gain momentum. I think we've increased enrollment where other schools are, you know, somewhat decreasing. We are actually increasing in St. Ignatius, so that's positive. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Sargent. Good morning. As Mr. Sargent said, I'm Mrs. Moore, the principal of the elementary school. This will be my 5th year at the school, 4th year as principal. So this year we've hit the ground running academically and just social emotionally over in the elementary school. And we've been busy. Some things, we just finished our parent-teacher conferences back in November, and I wanted to bring up the some results from our parent survey, and to note that 100% of the parents who took the survey all said that they believe the school is preparing the students well for the future, the school is challenging the students to succeed, and 100% also feel their child is safe at school. And that is huge because we strive to make sure school is a safe place for students to come every single day. And so our teachers and staff are fantastic and wonderful, and I really commend them on that.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, I just have a question. Do you know what the percentage is of the tribal parents who go to parent-teacher conferences?
I do not know, but as Mr. Sargent said, I'm really interested in breaking down all of that data, and I would love to get my hands on that and present that to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because as a tribal parent, and I'm a former teacher also, I hated going to parent-teacher conferences.
Totally.
And I know a lot of tribal parents don't like going to those.
That's fair. Yeah, absolutely. I will also note we did have 95% attendance at our parent-teacher conferences this year, but I'm curious to see what percentage of that was Native families. So thank you. I'm going to write that down.
As a whole, it'd be, so 95% of the entire population of parents are showing up. So, you know, with 65% of our students being Native, you could say that there's
a high percentage of all populations that attend our parent-teacher conference. What used to be 20% middle school, high school parents, they're also at 95% with our student-led conference, which makes it, less, I think, more welcoming, more of a comfort level when the students are leading those conferences and the ability to visit with all those. So as a whole, as a district, our goal is 95%, and we've hit that consistently K-12.
Carol.
Yeah, I think this whole school thing is a work in progress. And I really feel like what education's doing in the way of PIR Day is helping to bring this together. But I've always had good experiences with parent teachers conference. I mean, they've always been welcoming and, warming, and it's just improving what I can see. And when you say you have 100% on your survey, I mean, this is glowing. I mean, it's a good report. I mean, it's really refreshing to hear how a school, I know Polson, when they came in, they talked about all the stuff they're trying to do and, roofs and things, but you are like a standard bearer of schools because of, you don't have those issues, what you're saying, Mr. Sargent. And so I'm really happy to see a school on the reservation doing really well. And it's also because of, the funding that you receive because of the Native students, but certainly it sounds good and I'm glad. And I know it's a warming school. I mean, I've heard nothing but good reports about Mission School. I'm from Ronan, of course, but that's a good school too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And just to wrap up, before Thanksgiving, we celebrated our Native Strong Week district-wide. We had several school competitions with the students. They made warrior shields, longest braid competition, total district food drive and campus cleanup. So many bags of trash collected, which is only great on school cleanup day. And so many pounds of food donated for our community. So thanks to Ms. Fry and Ms. Claremont and the high school for organizing that. And yeah, we're very, very busy this year at the elementary school.
Good to see you this morning. Sean Hendrickson, principal, middle school, high school. Born in St. Ignatius, grew up here, went to Polson Schools, K-12. Am a Montana State graduate. So yeah, hey, that always elicits a response. I think some of the successes that we see, or I know that some of the successes that we see in St. Ignatius, as compared to other communities here on the reservation, have to do with stability. Mr. Sargent's been in the district for 30 plus years. 33 as an admin. I took over for him. I've been the principal of the middle school and high school for the last 11 years. Chantel coming in has been in for the past 4 years. Now you see that trend, it's tougher, right? It's admin, that admin world is tough to stay in, be in, continue. There's so much turnover in that, and I think that has helped a lot of the success and us being all on the same page as a school and a district moving forward. I'll talk a little bit about hitting on the Native Strong Week, and we've been fortunate to have our Salish teacher that we hired last year, Lauren Claremont, come in and basically change the way things work in our school. She's done an amazing job just coming in, lending her expertise to other teachers in the classroom. You guys have heard of Indian Ed for All. It's a state mandate, the requirement to teach, basically all things Native and Native history and contributions and things made. Our staff has always been good about that. We've worked it in as a district as part of our teacher evaluation, but Lauren has made it, I guess, safe for other teachers to really dig into it, because you find a lot of times somebody maybe who didn't grow up here or hasn't been around here, isn't familiar, doesn't not want to teach it. They just don't want to mess up when they do it or step on anybody's toes or be offensive. Well, she's put herself out there district-wide, elementary, middle, and high school, even though she's only really middle and high school Salish. and really made that focus and a priority, and made it really easy for everybody to be on board and be comfortable and move that way. And I think we're seeing those, reaping the benefits of those when you see parents, how much they come in, attend conferences. We, as far as the middle school, high school goes, student-led conferences, we were 94% and 96%, 94 in the high school, 96 in the middle school. That's, when you say that percentage, we're talking 3 parents didn't show up. 3 parents didn't show up in the middle school. 4 parents didn't show up in the high school. As far as native goes, I think it's 1 to 3 and 2 and 2, or 2 and 1 and 1 to 3 in the high school. So very few have not been here. We utilize a student-led conference, which means our students lead what that looks like. So parents come in, kid has a presentation ready, all of their work, they present that. And so the importance of that and why we moved to that a long time ago when Mr. Sargent was principal, just wanting to get people more involved. And so when your kid puts in all this work and all this time, and they call you and say, hey, our student led is next Thursday at 4:30, and they say, all right, we're going to be here. Our parents are committed to coming in because our kids are working hard to make sure that happens. So that has definitely led to the success of parent-teacher conferences. I think another thing, if you follow St. Ignatius on any kind of social media, our presence is pretty heavy. We try to do a great job of communicating. We found out that, and you guys probably experienced this as parents, that when we mail home, that mail might sit around for 1 to 2 weeks before it gets open. And if it's school, it's even longer, because people automatically assume it's something that they're not going to want to read. And so we've really focused on using social media, using text messaging, which is what parents have said on the surveys. It's the best way to communicate with them about certain things that are going on. And then we do all that, plus we can email on top of it. So all those things are helping to keep people involved and making sure that they're in the know of what's going on. Our stats as far as high school goes, you can see on that piece of paper with the bar graph on the bottom, it's got our data from previous years too, so you can see what the percentage looks like. 1 year we were 1 parent away from 100%, and so that was a pretty exciting time for student-led conferences. Our numbers are good, like Ms. Moore said, safe and welcoming. That's like our top priority, right? If people feel like they're safe and they're welcome, students and parents, guardians, grandparents alike, we know that we're going to have more success, and those kids are going to as well. The last thing I want to talk about is since COVID, and I'm sure you've heard and seen this from other schools, attendance has gone down on a whole. We've just struggled to get kids in school on a regular basis. This year, our attendance is up for the first time since 2020. We've actually gotten, we're in 93 to 95. I think the elementary is even higher than the middle school and high school this year. So when kids are here, we know that they're going to do better. And so that's been just such a huge push as well, is to make attendance a priority. And then try and help families, if they are struggling or having problems, find ways to do that. The best way we've found is we have a team that's called basically an intervention team. And we have dedicated teachers who sit down at lunch, during their lunch, Mondays and Tuesdays every week. And we sit down and talk about kids and where they're at and what struggles they have, what's going on. And then when we identify kids, we bring in parents, guardians, grandparents, other teachers, all of our kids that we've identified as at risk, get a mentor, a staff mentor in the school, somebody that they're close with or identify with or feel comfortable talking to. And that person basically looks out for them for that entire school year. So they check in, they meet multiple times a quarter, check grades, talk school, talk life, just, trying to keep those relationships positive and going, because we know if a student in a school doesn't have an adult that they don't relate with or feel comfortable talking to, their likelihood of graduation decreases like tenfold. But if a kid has somebody that they are comfortable with, a teacher, a coach, a para, a principal sometimes, a superintendent, we all have kids that that we're a little bit tighter with and work with, but we try to make sure that every kid has somebody in our building that they feel comfortable with, because we know if they have that, their chances of being successful, graduating school on time, go up dramatically. So we take that serious. That's one of the things that we really hang our hat on. But we feel like Mission is different than any other district in this valley. Is we try to not let we don't let kids slip through the cracks. We're doing as much as we can for everybody, no matter their situation or their family. So that's the sort of the end of the middle school, high school here. If you have any questions.
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, just curious if you noticed a difference since the Boys and Girls Club came into town and into Mission, if there's been a difference. I know in Ronan, I know there was a lot more kids on the honor roll once the Boys and Girls Club came in. And I'm on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club, so just kind of curious of, I've never heard from the school on actually if you've seen a big difference or not.
I can say this, I don't have, the data to prove that one thing has increased, but I do know it's a huge asset for many families after school, and they get fed and all summer, they get meals and somewhere for kids to be. And I watch them every day after school, walk down, and there's a lot of families that appreciate and utilize that for after school, activities, academic, and a place to be rather than home alone. So it's a big deal, and it's very beneficial to the community for sure to have that. We really fought hard to get that going, because it's really utilized, and parents really appreciate that.
Yeah. I think the biggest worry was those kids going home after school and not having, and it's not parents' fault. They have to work too, and being left alone. But now with, with supervision and things like that, and after school programs and all the fun things that they do, I think it really does. And I think we need to think about Arlee and probably Hot Springs and getting Dixon kids to, I don't know if they're bused or not from Dixon or not, but anyway, it's something we need to really talk about. But you guys are actually doing amazing things, and I think it's almost could be a pilot project for other schools to look at your school and see what, like the mentoring. I love that. I think that's huge. And for a child or a kid to have something like that, I think it's very important. So thank you.
If you look through the packet, you'll see a PSI and how we evaluate all of our systems. So all of our systems are broke down with goals that we evaluate ourselves. And I'm actually going to have an external evaluator come in this year, because it's one thing to evaluate yourself and say, hey, good job. It was much nicer when we had MBI and the outside evaluators come in and say, you're platinum. We were top of not just the valley, we were top of the state in terms of our positive system interventions. So that spoke volumes when we were not only ahead of every school on the reservation across the state, but every school in Montana at that time. And I really miss MBI for those reasons that really, you could, you're not just tooting your own horn. You can actually have someone say, this is where you're at. So we are going to have someone from the outside come in and use that positive system intervention scale to evaluate us externally. So I would like to say, Lauren Claremont has done a wonderful job. She comes to, the drum group comes by my office. The language that she speaks throughout the day. I went out 2 weeks ago, walked by the practice field, and she was skinning a deer with her. And they did dry meat, and so great job. And I did want to mention, the tribal ed, Michelle Mitchell, Miranda Berlin, been a rock for for stability and the work that she's done. And tribal ed, we appreciate the grants and the partnership that we have with those folks. So shout out to them.
2 more questions on class 7. Was that difficult for your Salish teacher to get?
It still hasn't been final approved. It's been a, I know I brought it up last year, and we're still waiting. So I guess maybe the reason I'm mentioning it multiple times, Mr. Hendrickson mentioned it, I've mentioned it. It has been something that we feel, pretty strongly that we've had a lot of Salish teachers come and go, and she's really doing a wonderful job.
So is that from our side or? Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm sorry. And then one other thing, I lost it. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no, I just, I do want to, say that it's nice when you have, someone working as hard as she does to, and it's sometimes, she goes above and beyond. I mean, she does a lot of great things. So do you want to say anything on Mr. Hendrickson on that one?
Yeah, I think just on that note, she presented a week and a half ago again to Culture Committee, and so I think we're just sort of waiting on hopefully the final stages of that. But yeah, it's been a process. Reiterating what he said, she's a second-year teacher. She's probably one of the best second-year teachers I've seen, period. And I've been 25 years an educator, and she brings that cultural component and the Salish. And when you talk about somebody mentoring students, her list is longer than anybody else's. And by choice or by chance, like students just gravitate towards her. She's done a great job building a lot of just bridges, doing things. She's taking kids to the Salish conference in Spokane, and a couple other things outside of our valley, along with all the other things that she does. I just had an eval with her yesterday, and the one thing that I really commended her on is I said, I've been here for 11 years. In the year and a half that you've been our Salish teacher, you brought more community members and elders into the building than everybody in this building combined in 11 years. And you did that in like a year and a half. The amount of, goodwill, it's good for our kids to be exposed to elders and community members and people with knowledge that we don't have that they can share. The Knowledge Keeper program that allows us to have elders in the classroom from all ends of the res, which I think is even more important, right? We're not just, Salish folks from the south end. We've got, Marilyn Kayai coming from Elmo into our classroom. It's just been a great experience. The Project Aware grant, which is provided, all that amazing. Like Mr. Sargent said, just working with tribal ed, always keeping us sort of at the front of all those grants and the process and things going on. And then one of the bigger things, and we didn't talk about this, is we do an advisory program called Character Strong, which we've been the last 4 years, and that's K-12. Us, Polson, and Ronan. So we're united in some way. We all share that common bond and it's character education. And it's become like a lifeline in our school. It's built into our schedule, daily and weekly. So that grant that Tribal Ed has got has been able to pay for us to be a part of that and then send us to the trainings and all that. So it's been amazing. Something that we wouldn't have been able to do ever without the help of Tribal Ed.
Go ahead, James.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the discussion on that, and that is definitely on our side. And it's definitely at the Culture Committee. They've got, let's save that for a different discussion, but is your board meeting tonight?
No, we're
Or you-
third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday,
And we
okay.
got a couple weeks, 2 more weeks.
2 more weeks. Okay. The other thing I want to commend is just it's good to see that we have, the tribal flag is important. I see that, and that's at all of our schools on the reservation. And that's good to see. That hadn't been always the way it had been, but I'm curious to ask a question that I've always asked of you folks. With the change in leadership at OPI, has that gotten any better over there? Has the paperwork or I know with Elsie Arnson, it was like, in my opinion, the Stone Age, but how is it now with this new Susie Hedelin as OPI director? Has it gotten any better over there?
It has gotten better. It couldn't have got worse. So, it is much improved. So in terms of, in their changes, there's things that, have come up. I mean, new priorities, new expectations, those things haven't changed a whole lot, but in terms of organized in some fashion, it has improved. I would say there has been improvement there.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
Other questions? Tom?
Appreciate your report and the staff. I mean, I know Miss Claremont, she was in my daughter's cohort. She was in the language program too, and they graduated together. She's high energy, Miss Claremont. I could see her fully engaged. My only question is, as far as feeding the kids, have you had any impacts? And if you have, how are you dealing with it?
You say feeding?
Feeding.
Oh, sorry, my hearing. The food program, yeah, there was a bit of a panic when the SNAP, we were a little concerned. We were going to start, doing some a backpack for the weekend type programs, but it was a quick enough turnover that, we're fine. We have free breakfast, free lunch, for all of our kids. So I would like to still have, backpacks for the weekend and things like that. But as far as the school goes, it's going great. Zane Foster's our new head cook, and he's doing a good job. So, yeah.
Danielle?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe it was last year you guys were doing music with the Dixon kids. Are you guys still doing some programs with the students down there?
The schedule didn't work out this year as far as their schedule and our schedule and when we are able to offer music and them. So this year, no, but we had it the 2 years previous. We're hoping that we're going to be able to bring that back next year. So we have a great music teacher and an amazing music program. If you've ever been to any of our concerts or anything like that, we know we've got high levels of involvement in choir and band, like abnormal numbers of students in those. So, and it was great to have those Dixon kids. A lot of those kids applied for out of district and are now students as like freshmen. So, and we got to know them the 2 years. So it was a great sort of relationship and transition piece too for us. So we're hoping to have that back next year.
I think the kids will be looking forward to it. I know the parents and kids really enjoyed being a part of that. So thank you guys for involving the small community.
Mr. Sargent, you spoke about academic gaps and didn't really elaborate on it? And you say you don't have the breakdown in the difference between what the native students are doing to the overall population. You don't have that right now.
Right now, we're going through MAST. It's called MAST, and it's, again, every time it changes. We've been doing 3 years of testing, but they're really not giving us hard data. This is the first year we're going to get some hard data in terms of proficiency that we can compare. But right now, all we can really compare is this year to last year, in terms of the testing itself and breaking it down for all students right now. We don't know, it breaks it down where, when we were able to compare, we had the achievement gap closed and we were real consistent with the state in terms of our numbers, and that's our goal. I think we were hit harder than other areas in terms of the state as a whole, but I think we're down. I'm not gonna lie, we're down. I mean, it's not where we want it to be, and we want to be consistent with the state, and we don't want an achievement gap at all. So that's our goal. But right now we don't have. They're not giving us the data with this new test that we can delve in until the end of this year. Hopefully, we'll get some better reports from OPI that we can utilize to start comparing and digging into that data.
I know I've never appreciated the state's numbers. I always thought they should be better even. And so I understand what you're saying. And then my other question is, how are you spending the Indian education for all monies, the JOM monies, the impact aid monies? How are you actually using that?
Well, there's different, JOM is all tribal ed. So we have no control over the JOM funds. Tribal ed runs those funds. The IEC used to run those funds for us. We basically turned that budget over to them. And impact aid, that budget, it takes care of everything other than teachers. Our teachers are paid, along with our permissive mills, of course, transportation, tuition, those, all those permissive mills also play into that. But in terms of impact aid is used for extracurriculars, all of the other, other outside of the permissive mills and the general budget. Impact aid pays for everything else. And when we took over, 10 years ago, when I took over as superintendent, we were living on this year's funds for this year. We're now a year ahead of impact aid. So we're spending last year's funds this year. And we do have, savings for things that come up, like the middle school roof, is going to be this summer. That's going to be $200,000-300,000, somewhere in that range. So it pretty much cover for impact aid. We again, 10 years ago, we were right around 400,000, and now we're back up to where we should be. And it depends on the year and the percent of lot that they pay, but anywhere from 800 to 1.2 million is what we get for impact aid. And it pays for a big portion of our budget, so it's probably 25. I don't know what would be the percent, because then you got Title I. I mean, you got Title I's 400,000. That's so it the exact percent, but it basically in terms of it's utilized for everything other than Title I, general, and permissive mills.
Any other questions? I'd welcome a motion to accept the report. Motion by Bing to accept St. Ignatius report. Second by Tom. All in favor? We have 6-4 with Jimmy and James out of the room. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate. I think we were the first school to make this visit when it first started, and I think it's a positive thing for everyone. So thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
And can we go into executive?
We'll go out of regular into executive. Now go ahead, James.
Okay, motion approved.
Motion to approve the resolution to establish the opioid advisory committee. Second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. Just take the second now out. We don't need the second now. And we will break for lunch. Ready? Yeah. Oh, boy.
Mike, Rachel, Leilani, and Luella are on Zoom.
Afternoon, Lalani. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Marie.
Hello, everybody.
Is
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'm going to let Leilani take the lead in the meeting. I'm joining today as the Vice President of MITA, which is the Montana Indigenous Tourism Alliance that I serve with other members within Montana that represent all of our Indigenous tribes in Montana. I don't know if Leilani is on yet. Awesome. Okay. I will sit back and turn it over to Leilani.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you so much for being there in person for us.
Yeah.
And thank you, Confederate Salish Kootenai Tribes Tribal Council, for allowing us to be here. Some of you, most of you probably know me. I'm Leilani Upham, Scott B. Begunny. I am the project manager for the Montana Indigenous Tourism Trail Project, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that project that we have going on. And we're really here to get your blessing to move forward with a steering committee. However, I'm going to hand it over to Luella, who's our project coordinator, to introduce herself, and then Rochelle Brown, who's with the Montana Tribal Tourism Office, who is partnering with us on this project in some capacity. So, Luella?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Luella Bryn. I'm the MITTP project coordinator. I'm a citizen of the Upsalga Nation. I am a member of the Big Lodge clan and a child of the newly made Lodge clan. My Upsalga name is Agbayachish, which means the one who keeps things good. I've been working in the tourism industry for 12 years. Initially I started as an interpretive guide for Upsalga Tours. Then I moved up to a site manager for the tour company. And the last 4 years, I have been working as the Office of Tourism Department Manager for the tribe. Me and my team have taken that department from one tour bus and one tour at Little Bighorn Battlefield to 5 tour buses and 5 reservation-wide tours across the Crow Reservation. We now have a gift shop and we launched the visitcrowcountry.com website. So I'm really excited to see what kind of work me and Leilani can do with this project. And I will turn it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Leilani, Luella, and for the Confederated Salish and Kootenai Tribes for Tribal Council allowing us to present today. And I am the Tribal Tourism Officer at the Department of Commerce. I oversee the 7th Tourism Region, which is Indian Country. And once Leilani introduces me during her presentation, I'll just give you some idea of where we're currently at and where we're headed and what we're partnering on this project. So thank you. And Leilani, I'm just going to mention that we're seeing a tribal council agenda request. I'm not sure if this is what you wanted to show or if you were going to go into your presentation deck.
Are you there, Leilani?
You're on mute, Leilani.
Leilani's indicating that she's not getting access. I think that we saw a
Oh,
note that she can share,
sorry.
but might be blocked. There we go.
Thank you, Rochelle, for helping out with that. I don't know. I was on the controlling deck of it and I couldn't do anything. So apologies for that. I was just in the wrong screen. Okay. So I do have access to share, continue. Okay. Can everybody see that?
We can see that.
Okay, great. So this is the Montana Indigenous Tourism Trail Project through the Department of Commerce bed tax that funded the Montana Tourism Pilot Community Grant. It is directed to rural communities in the state of Montana, but now has been renamed the Montana Tourism Development, going into the 3rd year or the 3rd cohort. We are the 2nd cohort to get awarded this grant. The majority of the communities, there are 7 per cohort, and they're usually small towns. However, we are pretty excited and surprised that we got awarded because we do cover the 8 tribal regions in Montana. So we've got a lot to do on our plate, but we're an ambitious group and pretty excited about it. So you're going to hear a little bit about this project. It's an Indigenous-led tourism initiative. And as you heard, the 2 of us are staff at this moment. Luella and I, we just started in October, so we're fairly new to getting this project moving. I also have a little background in tourism as of recent years. I do sit on the board of the Western Montana Glacier Country Tourism organization based in Missoula. Also served with Steve Claremont. He's also on the board. Also on the Montana Tourism Advisory Council and the Blackfoot Tourism Alliance up in Alberta. And so here's the board members that we have currently for MIDA. And starting out this presentation, we're just going to give some kind of the actual why behind this project and the why of what we're doing. And, basically starting about how our people have adapted through so many changes, through our strength, through our community, and through our connection to each other and to our lands. And reclaiming that economic power through Indigenous-led tourism. So here is the project. This is the summary that we have in our grant contract. It's called the Montana Indigenous Trail Project, and we coined the I guess, I don't know, what do you want to call it, a motto of people, places, and pathways. So over the next 5 years, the MITTP will be able to enable Montana Indigenous economies to sustainably and authentically leverage tourism and to fund growth while strengthening Indigenous and non-Indigenous rural communities. And as we know that we have a lot of border towns around us that, that we will be working to, collaborate on some of the things that we're trying to accomplish. So by creating a network itinerary of Indigenous culture and tourism experiences that highlight our traditions, our histories, our contributions, will help guide visitors in real authentic experiences across Montana in all of our counties, all of our regions. We'd like to make this note that some of you probably know this, but the Montana annual non-resident visitor spending as of last year, 2024, was $5 billion, and that is pretty common. According to the analysis of the American Indigenous Tourism Association, in 2024, Native tourism brought 15.7 billion to the U.S. economy, and that is primarily in hospitality. So we know that there are so many other sectors within our communities that this is affected. So what is tribally community-led tourism? Basically, in a nutshell, you could see those highlighted in bold. It's a form rooted in relationship, respect, reciprocity, and responsibility. So aligning economic opportunity with cultural protection and community well-being. So that's really, the primary. It's not about, the tourists that come in. It's really about protecting our culture, protecting our people and our community. So here's some of the bullets that we have placed up there. I just realized my video was off. Sorry, just hearing a voice. So it is led by community, not outsiders. Culture is respectfully shared on our terms, not exploited. Benefits stay local and support the people. Storytelling is authentic and accurate. Protection of land and sacred places builds community capacity and pride, and it honors Indigenous worldviews and ways of knowing from us. And I think you all are doing that pretty well over there in CSKT country. What is tourism? What is a tourism trail project? So we thought we really got to define this and explain it, because some people thought it was like hiking trails. As you all know, that I love to hike, but that's not what this is. A tourism trail project creates a connected pathway of cultural, historical, food and local shopping, artists, experiences, recreational opportunities for visitors to experience. So each stop on the trail highlights unique stuff within our tribal communities, and we get to kind of guide them in a meaningful and organized way. So a trail equals a travel itinerary. And as we know, travel itineraries and planning is a lot what visitors use. And there are tools out there, including AI, that is really guiding visitors nowadays, in which we will be tapping into and developing as we go along with this project. Tourism as an act of sovereignty, we also kind of see it as that, defining our own story. As many of us know that for generations, of course, there's that our stories and our history and things like that had been led by outsiders, but through Indigenous-led tourism, it returns a narrative power to our people who hold it. So we kind of take into control and and we also steward the project, our people, and shaping our future, and leading by the community, not for the community, but protecting against exploitation. Increases visitor understanding of tribal rights, history, modern day, and governance. So tribal community-led tourism is maintaining our rights. If we don't lead tourism, someone else will or has. And we already know that, that's continuing. So this initiative is really going to help with the community, our tribal community, steering that. that so that nothing sacred or sensitive is shared without community approval, and that cultural governance and this is cultural governance, it's not cultural loss. So we are sharing access to, so this is really important to understand that that what we're sharing is experience. It's not sacred knowledge. It's educational, it's product, it's service. So they're experiences. They're not sacred ceremonies or teachings that are meant to remain internal within our tribes. Um, it ensures that culture is honored and not commodified, and the list goes on. So we are teaching our way, not adjusting our way for tourism. And that's the big difference with what we're doing. And so we all know how our local tribal economy grows. It benefits our our whole community, and that is really part of a shared value within us Indigenous people here in Montana and really across the world. It's a circle of giving and not taking. So I'll just let you all read that. I'll take a break from talking.
And while Leilani takes a break, I just wanted to reiterate the point that tourism is healing. It gives us agency. It gives us the ability to decide what we want to share and what we want to protect. And it is a practice in sovereignty. And one of the benefits is that it really helps create an income base that is rooted in identity. And when we have income that's rooted in identity, that gives the people in the community more power to their dollar because they have a stronger tie to that dollar, and they'll want to spend it more within the community since it's rooted in our identity as Native people.
Thank you, Luella. Thank you. So as Luella was saying, tourism is healing. We kind of look at it like that too, coming from our organization and our project. As we know, Indigenous people have always understood tourism as a transaction, but not as a transaction, but as a relationship between people and place. And so I always like to think of the example of our late Chief Earl Oldperson, who was a kid who really, at the beginning of Glacier National Park, was part of that, welcoming folks to our homeland here. He was an interpreter for the old ones that didn't speak English, and just that sharing that he had of me growing up and hearing about tourism, it really did come across as relationship building between people and place. It also brings an element of healing of identity to our people. As we know, for generations, our identities were suppressed, misrepresented, and misunderstood. So sharing on our terms fosters generational healing for our spirits, for our non-human relatives, and for our nations. As we know, stories and songs carry medicine. They help us remember who we are, where we belong, and where we come from. And so I like this photograph. It was actually out on our buffalo herd, and that is my son getting ready to go sing our one of our Blackfeet old songs for a thing that was happening there. So our first year project objectives, the first year is really foundational and founding and grounding. And so as you can see, there's a heart and it's bolded. That is the heart of the project. And that is establishing tribal tourism steering committees in all 8 of the tribal nations. And that is going to be like people in our communities. And from that, as we begin to hear the listening sessions and hearing what the needs are and where to move forward with all of the 8 nations, then we will hire a consultancy firm to work on a 5-year strategic plan. Moving forward after that, this will go into year 2, but establishing community assessments through ITRR, which is the Institute of Tourism and Recreational Research at the University of Montana. And they do surveys and collect community assessments for what we could use for data on our needs for future funding, for infrastructure, for things like that, for grants. So your community will have access to that. And the partnership, or one of our first and main partnerships, is with Montana Tribal Tourism. That is why Rochelle Brown is here, and she will tell you about what we're going to be doing as a partnership with this project and her office. And then, as you can see, the rest is kind of some of the things that we'll be doing in this first year. Building tribal community steering committees is really, like I said, the heart, and that's why kind of why we're here presenting to you folks, is the purpose of these committees are, what we've been just really talking about just now. And so why a steering committee? It really brings synergy when you have diverse community voices together. Creating a shared vision for tourism really equals out to accountability and participation. Definitely what we need to succeed. Ensures transparency when we're all involved, and that equals trust. And you can't be successful without trust. Building cultural, social, and economic advantage equals innovation and creativity. And that's what makes the project and tourism in our communities exciting and fun. Consensus decision-making always equals a win-win solution. So who should be included? We want to keep it really diverse. This is just a list of folks. It could be, a lot more, but as we know, as visitors increase in our communities, there's a lot at stake and a lot of things to address and to make sure that it works out. So a couple of the ones that we left off of here might be transportation or sanitation or law enforcement. So as diverse as we can, we'd love to have that on our steering committees. And like I said, just partnering with the Montana Tribal Tourism Office, which is also Visit Montana and Visit Indian Country. We are the 7th official tourism region in Montana that's promoted through this office. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rochelle to talk about the part of the project that we are partnering with.
Thank you so much, Leilani. I want to just give the council a little starting point as to where we're at right now in promoting Indian country across the state and as a national level. Let me get back to that screen because this does this to me every time. See if I can get back here. So at visitmt.com, there is special pages that are dedicated to Indian country in Montana. And some of the material here are videos that date back quite a while. 2012, they were probably captured in 2011 and 2010. And so we sent out some production teams this last summer to begin the first phase of capturing fresh and new content that will go into these video products, and they will hit the market in spring of 2027. And so these steering committees that will be formed with your blessing and recommendations will inform what these new products look like. What is the story that is told to craft a message of visitation for CSKT and encourage people to get excited about planning a trip that's dedicated to being a customer and a respectful visitor in your communities and to your businesses. We have the Indian Country Guidebook that we also distribute, but this too is becoming a very outdated product. And so these steering committee individuals will be selecting from the content that we've captured and will continue to capture this summer, identify the gaps and things that we need to deploy and get out more information. And what those 4 pages within this book that are dedicated to your nation will say, the copy and the imagery. This is just a little sneak peek at some of the images that were captured this summer in Arley. Um, we also have video. So this just a little hint, but there we have thousands of images by the time this is concluded. And as a part of uh, the partnership with your community to do these, to capture this content, it will all be archived and a hard drive will be provided to your nation at the time that we hit the market with the new products and this project. You'll have it for your own use and your own promotion for your community. We'll also probably have some interviews and some portraitures taken. Those are planned for 26. And so that whole collection of everything will be an archive for your historic preservation as well as additional promotion that you might want to do with your own campaigns. I also wanted to mention how we are building the economy to support tribal tourism and provide opportunities for visitors. We're doing that with small grants right now. Some people are awarded the Indian Equity Fund, but I'm on year 2 of the Tribal Tourism Small Business Grant, and this grant has been reopened. So it targets these 5 business types. It's a $10,000 no match startup or expansion grant. And I will put it into the chat, the link for it. And it does close in a few weeks. So we hope that you'll encourage or pass this opportunity on to those that are looking to start a business or expand their current business. And also encourage them to go to your local NABA, and that is the Native American Business Advisors, SKC. And if you need some additional assistance, technical assistance, get a business plan together. So I'll be putting that in there as well. But we're super excited about if we're successful in this project, there'll be 15 individuals from your community that are on your steering committee, combined with the other 8 nations and their steering committees. We're talking over 120 individuals across Montana's Indian country, all informing the crafting of these new products, informing what kind of ad campaigns, imagery, copy, all of that. So we have real work to be done, and this material will also be feeding into the digital products that the Montana Indigenous Tourism Trail Project will be creating as a result of the grant that they've been awarded. So we're very excited.
Thank you, Michelle. I do encourage you to, if you know of any small businesses there, to tell them about that small tourism tribal business grant. I don't know if Rochelle mentioned that, but if that money isn't given out, then the state might say, well, you don't really need this funding because nobody's applying. So we want our people to apply. Okay, where are we at? I'm almost done here. Share. Here we go. Okay, so this is the second year, just a little snapshot of what the second year will look like after we have established these steering committees. By the end of year 2, we're hoping that these community assessments will be completed in our communities. Supporting the community ambassadors. So within these steering committees will be a leader that will kind of just help us, move forward with any kind of trainings and meetings and get out the word stuff and report to you folks, to tribal councils on what kind of how it's progressing. And that ambassador will get paid an honorarium of $1,000 a month. And if they're like, don't have time to do it the next month, maybe hand it off to somebody else. So that's just kind of a for helps. It's not going to be like too demanding of too many hours, but just really helping get this momentum rolling in all the tribal communities. And as far as the marketing campaigns and promotion and all this other stuff that you're looking at, that's why this this partnership with with Montana Tourism Office is so important because hey, they already paid for all this promotional video, beautiful photographs, and this content belongs to each one of the communities. And then moving forward, how do we want to promote, and what do we, oh shoot, um, what do we want to you know, put out there or not put out there. So in closing, looking again at sovereignty as our strength, that we cannot rely on systems that fail us. We build our own paths forward. So that's what these steering committees will do. And also empowering for our future. So pictures of the kids, looking at that, as we always have, we look at our future as our next generations and empowering them to become their own, whether it's their entrepreneurs or businesses or, pushing forward in being successful in life. And so, yeah, I'll just let you read that last one. And then I like to show this photograph. This was taken into September. You see delegates from all across Montana, from Department of Commerce to our own Marie Tarosian and people of MITA and folks that are artists themselves, designers. And I think we were like the largest, we were the largest group of any state at that conference. And we were pretty proud of that, just to show that, we are working together and coming together to see success in our communities. And so with that, there is our QR code to our website. We would love for you to stay involved and keep updated. And I'm going to let Luella talk a little bit about the development of what we have on our website.
So when you log on to the website, if you go to visitmida.org, about 10 seconds in, a pop-up will come up. That's where you can you click on sign up for our newsletter, and a Google form will pop up. You can sign up and it'll populate on our end, and you will put you on the list for our monthly newsletter so that you'll get monthly updates on our project and how well it's going, and some of the ideas that are coming out of our steering committees, concerns that our steering committee has, or great things that they're doing, or just kind of the update on all the cool stuff that's happening. But also any information that we've given you in this slideshow will be on the website. So if you have further questions, you can go to the website, visit mida.org, and click on the MITTP home, and the drop-down menu will be there. And any questions you have should be answered. If not, you can shoot us an email at mtindigenoustourism@gmail.com, and we can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Luella. So that's it. We just shared the project, and so our ask is to respectfully ask if we can move forward and helping put together a steering committee in CSKT to move forward with the project. And now, if there's any questions, thoughts.
Thank you, Leilani. Yeah, go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Leilani, for the presentation. I was at NCI recently and they had a session on, it's called the Original Reclaiming Indigenous Native Narratives Through Tourism Sovereignty, and it was presented by a group I had never heard of before. You all probably have heard of it and you probably went to this conference, but American Indigenous Tourism Association. Have you heard of that, those folks?
Yeah, that's where we were at. That picture you just saw of all the group, we were just there. It was held in Choctaw, Mississippi this year.
Yeah, they did an amazing presentation in Seattle, and it was really interesting to see and hear about tourism in a different aspect, that we could be proactive about it. instead of, being, because it's always been a negative. It's always at least when I've heard it in a lot of regards in terms of different parts of our community, it's, that we don't want them here, that kind of thing. But the problem is if we don't go after proactively, then someone's telling our story about the tourism in our area. And if we're not engaged, then our story's not getting out there. And so that was kind of the big thing that I learned. And it was kind of interesting to hear that they have like a certification program for participating entities with that. The other thing too is, that it was good to hear that they have a collaboration, I think, with Arizona State University and their hospitality program. And I'm kind of wondering, Leilani and us here, we've had tribal members from time to time. Why doesn't our tribal college have a hospitality program? But I think MSU and UM both have something in that regard. I think our tribal colleges should be collaborating with them to provide, Blackfeet has a hotel and casino. We have hotels and casino here, and we definitely need workers for that. It seemed like we should be engaged with that a little more. But definitely, I support the presentation and support the effort. But it was just interesting to hear. Interesting that I attended that conference before not knowing you were going to be on the agenda. But I have a better appreciation for what you all are trying to do. And I think it was just such an amazing presentation that they had over there. So, and I had never heard of them before. So it's cool that you all went to their conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Any other questions or remarks? Well, I don't see any more questions, Leilani. Appreciate the information and look forward to talking about the steering committee.
Okay.
We can move forward with. Thank you, Luella and Rochelle.
Okay.
Oh,
So
Marie.
one more
Thank
thing.
you.
We do have a template for the letter, and we could send that to you if you go ahead and decide to bless our moving forward, and you could put it on your letterhead if you need to. So we'll send that over.
James?
Yeah, I absolutely support it, but I want to encourage you on you folks as you get together with this, University of Montana and MSU both have these hospitality training programs. I think that we need to have our foot in there with our tribal entities that need people trained in these areas. Because I've heard different tribal members bugging us to get the tribal college across the street to do something, and they can't figure it out. So I think we need to collaborate with some of our public institutions otherwise and say, hey, can you put a tribal component into these programs that we could have our tribal members attend to get a degree in? Anyway, thank you.
And definitely send the letter.
Can
Marie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that, James. I do know that SKC has a few programs going over there. I believe Tim Ryan leads something in hospitality training over there. But Lucy, Charlo, and I both attended through IANTA. They paid for our way to attend a hospitality training with the University of Washington. And that was several years ago, but that's a program that goes through IANTA. And it's very informative. It trains you to set up tourism. It was like going to school because we had to every week turn in an assignment. And assignment was, they'd give us a scenario and we had to develop a tourism site or an entity. And they would say, well, we've got a tour bus coming and there's 300 people in this group and this is your location and what are you going to do to serve these guys and how are you going to do it? And very informational. And I think Lucy and I both got a lot out of that. And I encourage more of our tribal programs that serve tourism to do that. Being a part of my MIDA has been really helpful not only for Three Chiefs, but for myself to be able to collaborate with all the other nations here in Montana and to get together and support one another. The picture that Leilani showed was this year in Ianta, which they've rebranded from Ianta to AITA. So we presented there this year, Three Chiefs, Nadia, Lucy, and I presented on what we do through tourism and how we support our tribal members, artisans, how we teach them in education, how to produce their products, how to get it up for resale. The gift shop buys those products that they make and then resell it in the gift shop. And it's helping our tribal membership to take control of their artists, what they produce and how they are going to sell it and promote it. It was very well received there. We had a lot of good comments on our presentation, and then just recently they requested a copy of that presentation that they could put on their website. So I really encourage you guys to take a look further into this and support what we're trying to do with this project. Leilani and Luella are working really hard to pull things together and go around to all the nations in Montana and get this done. So I thank you guys for your time and your support. And if you have any other questions you need answered, feel free to call me if you'd like. So.
Thank you, Marie.
Yeah, Lem Lynch.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Be safe. Jen?
Can we get Erica up here really quick? She just wanted to ask for a change of duty for next week before we start with IT.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I sent you, you should have the list. Yeah. And then I did do an edit for Clifford Flaman Jr. He's at Dewars, which I think is natural resources, but just to clarify. So these are the people I've talked to. Some of our core people are doing the chronic wasting disease stations. And so they won't be able to join us. So why I wanted to talk to you guys was I know that we had discussed some hours, but I really want for these people to have the choice, well, their supervisor to have the choice if they can provide them to us for a long period of time. I don't expect them the entire day. Obviously, it's a 12-hour election day, but if we could get some of them that can help out for a more substantial amount of time, that would be good. And then for Katz Yelsa as well, because we will be working on a wrap-up video that day with him.
Looking for a change of duty for these folks so that they can help out on election day. I think you'll be, they'll be driving, or what all will they be doing?
Yeah, there's different jobs. So they could be calling, they could be driving, they could be canvassing, or they could be manning the phones, social media for people who are calling for rides and things like that. They could have to run and go pick up lunch. It just depends. It's called a war room, I guess, for a reason. We always have a lot of things that need to be done. And then these aren't all the people who will be helping, but the rest of them are not employees. So we'll have volunteers in the communities as well.
Other questions?
Erica, this is the same setup you guys have when you guys are doing elections for state and federal elections. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
I guess how many hours are you looking for specifically?
Well, I would like to give them the option to do 8 hours. I know that not all of them are going to be able to do that, but there might be one or two that are able to work that out in their schedule, and that would probably be really helpful for that day.
So for up to 8 hours?
Yes. With supervisor's approval, yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Danielle to approve the change of duty. James? Second by James. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Erica. Afternoon, Renee. Come on up. Welcome, Madonna and Mel and Chuck and everybody.
Good morning, good morning, good, I'm tired. Good afternoon.
It might be morning somewhere.
Yes, it is. I see Len isn't here.
It's, he'll want another day.
Well, hopefully he gave you some questions to ask. I just want to introduce you to TICOM. I'll let them introduce themselves. And Chuck, the project manager, is going to be taking over. So those four will answer your questions.
So do we start or do you?
Well,
yes. Oh, just introduction. Okay, because I was going to go right into it. So my name is Madonna Peltier-Yawaki. I am president of Turtle Island Communications. I'm also a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa in North Dakota. And Mel and I started Turtle Island Communications in 2001. We provide engineering and technical consulting to tribes. And we started our business before all the federal funding became available. So we work with large land-based tribes from an idea that they wanted to improve service to implementation. So a lot of the tribes that we've worked with own and operate their own broadband companies today. So that's our expertise, and we appreciate and want to extend our gratitude to the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes for hiring us to do this important work. So thank you all.
Yeah, so I'm Mel Uwaki. I'm a member of the Zuni tribe, New Mexico. Like my Madonna indicated, started a company 30 plus years ago. I've been working as an engineer, started my career as an electrical engineer, but my career's been focused on telecom, mostly fiber. We've implemented some wireless networks. One in particular, the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, where they own and operate a commercial wireless system. We assisted them in that. Have worked on some of the fixed wireless projects, but really our focus has been on fiber networks. We see this project as nothing different than what we have implemented. It's pretty challenging in that we got a very short time frame to complete this project. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that, but thank you for inviting us here today.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Council. My name is Adam Geisler. I'm an enrolled member and citizen of the La Jolla Band of Luiseño Indians in Southern California. Don't let that sidetrack you. I was born and raised in Billings, Montana, born at St. V's, and went to high school at Skyview, just to give some context. I'm brought on to the project as a subcontractor in supporting TICOM. I'm the president of American Indian Media Concepts. Then why am I here? I'm here to help support the permitting process, but also to help with some of the compliance components. In another career, I worked at the U.S. Department of Commerce, and I built the program that you guys are going to be spending the dollars on. So I'm intimately aware of the history of this project, what the intentions are, and how the inner workings function at the department that funded this so we can have a successful build. So I'm excited to be a part of the team and appreciate the time. Thank you.
We did do put together a PowerPoint presentation, and I want to make sure that.
Right underneath.
I want this to be as engaging as possible. And so if we see you But hopefully what this presentation will do is provide you with some information that will be helpful to you to be able to convey it to others that have that want to know how we're progressing. Okay, and how it started. Because I did see one of the messages from one of the councilmen is like, how will this benefit us? And or how will it benefit the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe and its people? And so hopefully we're going to be able to talk about that as much as you want to as well. And then do I just hit? Oh, they see it. There.
Can you see that, Martin?
Can anybody see that?
Not yet. Wait for IT.
Chuck.
How about that?
Okay. And then I just do this.
Yeah.
Okay. The project purpose we took out of the project information directly that was submitted with the grant application. This infrastructure project proposes fiber and wireless connectivity to 927 unserved and underserved tribal households and 51 community anchor institutions. So all of your educational facilities, healthcare facilities, police department, all of those were included in this application. And then the 927 are only a portion along this route of households that are not served. In 2023, and over time, we have met with the chairman in the past and others with the council because we knew that there were service issues on Indian reservations. And when Adam talked about his experience as the bureau or the chief of the tribal broadband connectivity program, they did the heavy lifting to make sure that tribes were included in this federal funding, because we knew, based on our experience in working in the industry, that a lot of tribes didn't have up-to-date modern communication capabilities, and they were reliant on whatever investments those their communication providers were going to invest on their reservations. And so anyway, we met with the tribe in, I think it was 2024. And at that time, you still had about 3,500 locations that were unserved and underserved with broadband. And that was based on Federal Communication Commission data. So, so this addresses 927 households and 51 anchor institutions. The benefit is to, or the project purpose is to benefit tribal residents, business owners, and the schools, healthcare facilities, public safety, and agricultural facilities. Okay, and the project proposes the following activities designed to improve access. So this is the meat of this project is 284 miles of aerial and underground fiber construction from downtown Missoula to North Kalispell. And what you're really accomplishing here with this 284 miles of fiber is a network that's not only going to serve your members, but it's going to unlock some leasing potential for companies and for the western part of Montana, where there's bottlenecks in this area of communication facilities. There aren't many fiber based facilities going along this route. So just so that, and that may have been conveyed, and that may be why this is, targeting this 284 miles from Missoula to Kalispell. Construction of one network operations center, which is the People Center. We have that will be the brains of the facility. We have a 38 foot by 20 38 by 20 foot building going in at that location. that will house the electronics for this business. And then there's 7 central offices that are dispersed throughout the area based on that design requirements. And 150-foot cell tower will be at Kicking Horse, and it's a monopine. So that's going to look like a tree as much as they do. And then up to, and we'll see if you can all tell if it's a cell tower or a tree. And up to 20 small cell towers. And at this point, we have 15. We've identified 15 locations that will have cell towers at. The deployment of a fixed wireless broadband network to provide connectivity, like we said, to 927 and unserved and underserved households. So when you think about what the question was asked, how is this going to benefit us? It's going to provide high-speed broadband capabilities to those homes. That's the first step with this. Once it's operational, it will be able to do that. And then based on conversations that we've had with Chuck and Renee and the project team, is that the tribe leases fiber today from other service providers, but you'll be able to use your own fiber after the system is built to connect to all of your community anchor institutions. And the direct fiber broadband connectivity is going to be at 3 housing units, or it's proposed. It's still under NTIA consideration, and we've discussed putting fiber to the home at Pache, Woodcock, and Turtle Lake housing developments. Okay, so that will be it's the way of the future. It's what modern communities want, is fiber to the home as much as possible. And when you can't get it there, there's a lot of this project is fixed wireless. The project schedule, this is what I want to raise your, or just pay special attention to this. Our contract was signed on, and we went through a rigorous process, I would say, to get to that place. It was signed on August 28th, 2025. The goal, according to the requirements of the grant, is the substantial completion date will be July 31st of 2026. And final completion of August 30th, 2026. But what we've discussed with your team, if we're showing the results that we need to meet NTIA, your funding agency's requirements, there's a opportunity to extend the deadline beyond this, because it is a very short time frame to construct this size of a project. And then project outcomes will provide affordable, high-speed, reliable, and future-proof internet access. And I think some of you, like we've gone so far beyond COVID that some of us don't think about it anymore, but some of us still do. And you have images of maybe in your own situations, but we've worked for other tribes where households, when they were
Sorry, I back up to that last slide. Now, you said the final completion is August 30th of 2026, correct?
Yeah.
And then you said if it goes over?
Well, what part of the caveat, and that's really for Chuck and Renee to discuss, but the federal agency requires that it show results. We believe that we have been showing results, and a lot of that, and we'll discuss it a little bit later, we have to have land authorizations, right, for this project. And so we've been working with the lands department, and that's really like a part of every project of this utility development.
I guess my question is, if you go over the cost overruns of going over. I've read the book Art of the Deal
Okay.
by Donald Trump, and no, I didn't. Anyway, cost overruns of going over the timeframes. I'm just wondering, is there additional cost, or
And
do
I'm
you
going to
modify
ask
the contract to do that?
Yeah, they work directly with the federal funding agency and have probably talked about that.
Yeah, good afternoon. We actually did talk to our NTA representative this morning at 8:30. She says that we're still in a very good spot. We're showing more progress than a lot because we have the AEA done and we're working through the permitting. As long as we can show some construction and just not spending money and just buying a bunch of equipment, as long as we're making progress and we have people out in the field, we'll be in a good spot to ask for an extension come probably around March. And it's no cost to us. They'll just give it. So there's no penalty for it if we qualify for that.
Okay, I guess I'm just trying to understand this whole thing. So the length of the contract currently isn't realistic? Is that what you're saying? Or could it be? Could you end up being final in this deadline?
As part of our conversations leading up to the contract signing, we do have a caveat in there about the extension. That was discussed extensively because our goal is to do that, but realistically, the size of a project, typically you would not be able to build it with all of the conditions within this time frame.
That doesn't make sense to me. Don't you normally do a contract for I don't know, maybe Mark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to kind of edify people, part of the reason why this is a little bit behind is because the rules kind of changed, 6, 7 months into the game as far as the EA assessments of this whole project. We were going in thinking we had them covered. Those didn't happen. And so their group was behind the gun. They were behind. I mean, yes, it doesn't make sense that the date is there. There's no chance they probably could have made it. So
It's our fault. That's all.
no, it's the, we don't want to blame anyone, but they changed the rules after they assigned the
I
grant.
remember that now. Okay.
Do you mind? I'm glad that the council member remembers that process because I was in the trenches running that. And I guess I should just say to everybody that every tribe in this country that received an award through the program, the government changed the rules on everybody to your point, halfway through in terms of what locations could be served and couldn't be served because of the addition of IJA and BEAD and all this other money that came about, and they didn't want to duplicate. And so as a result, everybody, including this tribe, went through a process of having to deconflict a bunch of areas. And so folks didn't even get the money or the approval to spend the money until like 2 years in. And so it's a 4-year period of performance. And so what I've seen in this process is everybody, including NTIA, trying to work within the parameters of all these rules with a working knowledge that everybody is involved recognizes that as long as dirt is turned and construction is underway, that extensions will be granted. I mean, that's how the agency has been providing that advice. I should also put a disclaimer because I know you guys are recording. I no longer work for the federal government. In fact, I'm really excited to be on this side of the table again. But I did just want to clarify that because I know there's a lot of councils. I should have mentioned I spent a decade on council as well for my own tribe. There's a lot of councils right now that are asking these questions of like, how come this is where it's at? Why isn't it for, and frankly, it's not nobody around this table's fault. It's the federal government changing process and rules midstream, to be completely candid.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the clarification and information on that. My question is more along the lines of when we get the infrastructure in and it's all up and running and, I understand, that the main base or hub will be at point A and then they'll be delivering at houses or communities here. But if anybody along that route, can they be tapped into that line or get service from that as long as they're along that corridor somewhere? The reason I ask that because we just went through different parts of the reservation. They put in fiber, like Blackfoot Communications. That's who I have. They went through, ripped up the ditches and stuff along the way and put a little orange thing outside my driveway. And that's who I have service from. And I wasn't on council at the time, but they were quizzing me. The person was quizzing me about what this was all about. And I said, I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the story is. But what's the tribe going to do? I said, I have no idea. I'm not on council. I don't know what that's all about. But the local providers are definitely curious as to what's going on with it and that kind of thing. So my other question is, one, can tribal members or people whomever connect to the service if it's even just going along the power line near them? And also, what are the rates going to be comparative to the other entities that we have around us? You know, like the chairman was asking, I think a few months ago, you know, he's over in the area where it didn't look like he was going to be able to access that service. Is there a plan at some point after we get established to reach out a little further to some of our communities that are a little more isolated, that we could get the service to them somehow? So anyway, those are my main three questions.
We are aware that there was a feasibility study done prior to this project starting. That was shared with us. And what I would suggest is that feasibility, or it's actually beyond a feasibility study now, but a business plan be updated to reflect what you're talking about. Because of course there's costs associated with expanding the system to meet, but from our experience, what you're asking for is fair. It just has to be planned. And if we know that there's still unserved and underserved locations, and I know that all this funding, this federal funding is rolling out now, those opportunities may be missed under NTIA. However, US Department of Agriculture, they have a program that's been around since 1959, and they just renewed it. It's called Reconnect. And so to me, if there's still locations here that are unserved and underserved, that's an excellent opportunity to pursue that federal agency's funding to support your goals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry, Mo. Oh, the rules of the, I'm going to be the guy that sounds like a lawyer, but I'm not. The rules of the program really required, and this is kind of some of the nuances that people were dealing with and having to redesign, is that you can only connect native households. And so you guys are in an interesting situation because of the checkerboard, so, you know, your guys' land status, on why this is such a tricky project, because you really everybody's had to go through and identify which homes are tribal, which homes are not. And so the planning process allows you to essentially run the fiber right in front of the non-native home. And you can even kind of pre-plan infrastructure to serve that home, but you can't run that last section down the driveway to actually connect their home, because that's not who the grant was intended for. So there's grant opportunities to fill that gap, and there's also opportunities as the entity, as your operations, your ISP operations make money to reinvest and go connect those households in that manner.
So we will either have to lease to an ISP or develop one, right?
Yep.
I could add a little bit more on the technical side. A little bit on the technical side, this system is designed so that they're systematically, what we did was we placed a central office, which is a building that houses all the electronics. So each community has a central office. It's a dedicated office where from that point you can serve. And the way the optics works, fiber optics works, is that from that office, you can extend services, fiber services up to 12 miles. You put in the next type of optics in there, it can serve up to 24. So the locations of these offices, which I'll go down the list, going from towards Missoula, there's going to be a central office in Gray Wolf. Coming up this way, Arley, St. Ignatius, Kicking Horse to serve like the Ronan area. There'll be one here, Pablo. We've been talking about the knock. That's going to serve as a central office. There'll be one in Polson, Elmo, and Hot Springs. So if you can envision that your fiber could eventually extend beyond 12 miles of those locations, 24 miles. So that we've designed this so that is capable of extending fiber to the home. But initially, we are starting out with those 3 communities that we mentioned that is designed to get fiber all the way to the household. But the whole intent of this grant funding was to build a fiber backbone to extend wireless services to 24 cell sites to extend wireless services, but they'll have the capability to extend fiber at a point in time where it makes sense in those underserved areas. And the network is designed with 144 strands of fibers all the way from Missoula to Kalispell. So basically what you would do is just put in splitters in the network from utilizing the backbone network to expand your network. So on the technical level, it has the capabilities to extend, and has the capacity to serve the whole entire reservation.
So you'll have a long length of fiber from Hot Springs, basically to Ravalli, through Camas Prairie, Perma, Dixon. It doesn't have one of those locations?
Yeah, you'll have that whole entire route. We're also creating a fiber ring for redundancy. So if there's like a fiber cut, that redundancy will handle the fiber cuts.
Chuck?
I believe there's one going in at Dixon at the old agency, correct?
A central office?
Yeah.
There's a tower there. Yeah.
To serve that community. Okay.
Camas Prairie?
We are trying, sir. We are trying.
Sorry. All of the project outcomes are what we just discussed, or they cover all of those things. So I'll just keep going. Project contractors, Turtle Island, our company is the prime contractor. Subcontractors are Alamon, based out of Kalispell. They're doing pole inspection and getting all the data off those poles for MVP, so that it'll be a benefit to MVP as well, that they'll have all that data about we're using for, or this project is attaching to about 4,000 poles, but that includes Flathead Electric and like once we get off the reservation going north, and then Missoula Electric going south. So that 4,000 includes those.
Okay, so you have Ronan Telephone Company, what's it called? Access Montana. And they're doing underground. So are they associated? I mean, do you associate with them at all, or? I mean, to me, it sounds like putting it on a power line is old school.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just in my mind.
Yeah. Well, you have, which I know you all live here and the terrain here is, especially north of here, all the rock, it's prohibitive, probably why someone else never did it. And Ronan uses a lot of MVP's poles going up that way.
Okay, I have a grandson who works for Access Montana,
Okay.
so that's how come I
Yeah.
know the
So-
underground stuff that they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. So where we can, with this, the project was, it was planned to use MVP for aerial fiber placement. And it was probably to streamline the project in the planning process.
Yeah, I apologize. I just haven't kept up with this. And so now that you say things, it kind of jars my old memories. So thank you.
Yeah, the reason why we chose to go through on the telephone signs is because that's how the grant was written in the beginning. So they're just going by what the grant was written by.
Yeah, as part of our response to this, all the respondents were provided with what they call a high-level design, and that was another company was hired to do that. So that was what we used to to submit our proposal. And that included using all the MVP pools. And then we have,
Madonna, you got a
oh, I'm
question?
sorry.
Go ahead, Martin.
How soon will we know how many poles will need to be replaced? And that's where I'm worried about a cost overrun. It's right there.
Yeah,
Pole
well,
replacement.
I want to, I thought, how frank can we be? And what, if we had a wish list of what possibilities there could be, it would be in sharing cost with MVP for pole replacements. And that would be something that would be helpful to this project instead of the project having to pay for the pole replacements.
Yeah,
So-
right now we're seeing about 15%. Right now, we're seeing about 15% of poles being identified that needs to be replaced, but right now we're considering working with MVP to see if there's other ways of not just necessarily replacing the poles, but maybe just adding some support.
I see the contractors, subcontractors, and I'm thinking of my partner here next to me, and the questions he might ask is, how many jobs is this gonna create? Is it gonna create tribal jobs? If so, how do they apply? Are they permanent jobs, entry level? How do we get our people to work with you guys?
We did meet and have had conversations with the Indian Preference Office. We're on the list for Indian Preference. And I want to make a statement about this industry. And if you attended any meetings in this industry, there aren't a lot of Indian people that work in this industry. So what we talked about with the Indian Preference Offices, and that's common, like they're called TARO, Tribal Employment Rights Offices on other reservations, and that all tribes have that same goal, is to increase tribal members in this field. And typically the jobs that come to light are laborers and heavy equipment operators right out of the gate. But once you start this business, like I'll compare like with we worked with Blackfeet and got them to becoming operational. So once it was operational, there was probably about maybe 2/3 of the employees were tribal members. And so in this, we've talked to HP, who is the hired, or who we've selected as the fiber construction company, and they're committed to using local labor, tribal members in any aspect where they're able to. They've worked with the office to provide them with information about like what kind of job training requirements there are. So we're actively working through that process, and we have the same goals as you do, because once the system is built, that's what we know, is that these are meant to create it's economic opportunity that and it should show itself in who's working on the project. And at this point in this industry, there just aren't a lot of Indian people that have the skills to do aerial fiber construction. And if you're able to find any, then we want to know that as well. But like in the work that we've done, it just isn't. And they're really like, there's the companies that do aerial fiber construction. They're most of them do underground fiber construction. So that's more common. And so when you're touching electric poles, that requires a special kind of skill set. So I hope that I've addressed that. And if I haven't, we want to work hard to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to have tribal membership. And oftentimes we do see them in the labor part, but that's where the training happens. It really does. If you're working around skilled people, they're gonna learn these jobs.
I guess I just like to make sure that we advertise these positions in some of our local papers to make sure our families, our people here are aware of these opportunities, and there's training opportunities for them, or a job fair, or yeah, just make sure you advertise or talk with personnel to get those ads out.
Yeah.
So people know.
And just so you know that all of the companies that are required, it was HP, Alamon. Those were the only two companies that were, and our company to do the compliance, have a compliance plan with IPO. Okay.
And on the installation side, the equipment installation side, it's not necessarily all just construction, right? So on the installation side, I've had like technicians shadow me during the installation, so they know how to install equipment, to maintain the equipment, to provision the equipment. So that there's that opportunity there more on the electronics, the equipment.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So you mentioned that you worked with the Blackfeet Nation. So you did, I remember when they were here with the big announcement, the award came. So they're completely done with their installation?
We worked with them. It's public information. They started strategically, and over time, it is public information. They they bought out the rural telephone company operating on their land. And this is public information. That company hadn't invested on their land for about 40 years. So their infrastructure really needed an upgrade. And so they're in a different situation. But ultimately, the award that they got was substantially smaller than yours. Well, they got 33 million, yeah. And but they asked, how come we didn't get as much as they did? And it's because we had already started to build out fiber there. We built like the middle mile fiber out of their reservation and had sought funding that to help support that project. And then the tribe made investments in that system as well. Okay, so we'll keep moving. And then the fiber backbone route. So these maps are available to you so that you have them. And all of the equipment shelter locations, or where you see that, what Mel was talking about, where they have you can expand those areas in the future to build out fiber or fixed wireless services to locations that don't have that service today. And I'll keep moving. And then these are the phases, the pre-construction phase. And I want to discuss this. We don't need to go through all the slides here or the different tasks. But what where we're at right now is securing permitting from and working with the lands department. And we had a good meeting today, and they've added people to assist, or like in their department and expanded. And we've actually gotten your authorization by resolution to get the tribe's mapping data so that we can assist them in getting these the allotted land, the tribal trust land defined. And so we're working through that process and have submitted substantial information to them. This project is being done by phases. And right now our priority phases are phase 1 and 2, which is the Pablo area down into Missoula, so we can connect to get bandwidth from VisionNet. Yeah, and VisionNet is located in Great Falls. There's an office there. They may be one in Missoula as well. I'm not aware of that, but their headquarters are in Great Falls.
Yeah, so when I say VisionNet, it's really a data center, what they call a carrier hotel. So it's a location where the tribe will get competitive bids on, internet, different types of services. One of them being internet. So, so same thing in Kalispell. VisionNet has a facility there. And VisionNet is a consortium of all the rural telephone companies in Montana. And they've got a fiber network throughout the state. So it's just one of their facilities that we'll be tapping into.
So just with this slide, what our goal is to, one of the first things we have to do is get permits. State, county, tribal. Yes.
I mean, I'm thinking Starlink, you know, I bought those for my fire engines, but don't those kind of do something?
A lot of
similar?
remote areas on, and like really in our business, we've only ever worked, or our primary clients were tribes because that's what we wanted to do. And a lot of people, if you just talk to people about their experience with satellite, they'll talk about what that experience has been. And I know like with things that are going on right now that are beyond the scope of this conversation, there's satellite companies that are going to be getting federal funding from these, like through the state because of the nature of how things go. But the fiber backbone for this system, those are really solid investments in the future. And so that's something that is, if by me saying it, it's not adequate for you. Just read about the difference between fiber, find some articles that I'm not telling you to read, and you'll see that those are really that's where you're going to get some good information about fiber in the ground is a great investment. Okay.
I think it's in chapter 3 of Art of the Deal.
And yeah. And and one of the goals we have of that, it's not Mel and I, our goal, but it's the project's goal is to get this construction going as soon as possible. And we're one of the key things is to get material ordered for construction. So you'll start to see this week, a purchase order should go into the Gray Bar is the company that will be providing the material for this project. And you'll see reels, fiber reels and conduit starting to come in at what's called a laydown yard at the where the People Center was. So that's going to start to happen with all the equipment that's more readily available, or not equipment, but material that's more readily available. So you'll see that, and it's always good to see that looks like progress. Yeah.
I'll add a little bit to that too. The equipment shelters, the buildings that we were talking about, those are scheduled to be delivered like March, April timeframe. So we really do need to get land authorization to start the foundation work. Before we can do the foundation work, we're going to do land surveys, geotechnical soil studies to, construct the foundation, design the foundation. So again, shelters are being delivered late March, April timeframe, and they've already been placed on order. So it's kind of like a moving target to try to get things going on the land side, authorization side.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I just want to say I appreciate you coming and visiting with us. A council member that had most of the issues isn't here, so.
Do you think he'll ask us back?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you just talk to him and give him a special call, but I think as you get going, you know how all the reservations are. We all have rumors and what hell happened to the money, and it's all lost and it's gone, and IT's done something with the money and this guy's done something with the money and the council, so all of those things always happen. So we appreciate you coming, but I think as you get going and nice things start happening, it'd be nice to see hey, look, we're on the ground, we got things going. And whether it's a press release or coming to talk with us or have a little article in the Charcusta and have an interview with the reporters there, just to alleviate all them.
Well, one of the things that was when we had a kickoff meeting, there was your communication director was in the meeting, and he talked to we invited all the vendor or the companies that are subs to participate in that meeting, and he asked everyone to not make it public. And so, and I thought, you'll tell us when you're ready to have that public, because there is a logical time to do that. And I'm telling you, one of the things that has been detrimental to our company is whenever we've worked with a tribe, we have to keep it under the radar. Because you've always got companies that don't share your objectives and don't share your interest. And so we are aware of that with the companies that operate here. But I want to just make a statement. If those companies were doing their job, you would not have had 300 to 400 unserved and underserved locations. They're obligated by federal regulations to provide service here at a certain standard. And so that is federal law. And so I just want to underline that. Yeah. And so we'll keep going and I'll go a little faster. Okay. And then the broadband network implementation phase, we can discuss all aspects of this if you want, but we can do it at another time because, but we've got a plan. That's what we're trying to convey. There's a plan and a process. And then permittees and process. I want to go through this slide because we're going to need some assistance from the council at certain times, not today, but at certain times. Securing BIA right of way. And again, we had a meeting with Lance today and they're in process of doing this, and we have a plan with them that in about 2 weeks, we'll have all the tribal trust, the maps ready for them to come in and seek authorization for an easement or a right permit to go across tribal trust land. We've submitted 77 individual trust tracts, and that information has gone out to those 77 individual owners. And Mel, that's only for certain phases, right? Or is that for the whole project?
That's the entire.
The entire project is the 77 individual trust tracts. And so those have gone out to the landowners. And so they're starting to see, or they may start to see some of those responses. And then 7 tribal fee tracts are involved in this project. And then the business lease agreements, we require land department authorization for the Network Operations Center or NOC and the CO sites, 8 locations. We have a plan with them that we're gonna, this should be ready to be submitted within the next couple of weeks. And if we can get that, once it comes before you, if that can be turned around, that would be appreciated. And then for the 18 tower sites. And then we are working on the Montana State DOT permitting, but as part of those permits, we need other permits like the one that's following that, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Section 404 nationwide permit. And then that requires tribal government authorization. And Adam's working with Nathan Green, who I understand based on conversations with him, he works with CSKT, probably with Elko a lot. Yeah, and so he's very familiar with this area, and so that's underway, and we believe that that will be submitted within the next several days. And that's a quick turnaround because this doesn't impact. Mel, can you make the statement about this is not going in any waterways or anything like with this? We expect to get a clearance from them, like almost immediately once you submit it electronically. And then CSKT, Natural Resource Department, Ordinance 87A, Aquatic Lands Conservation Ordinance. And Adam's been working with, is it Justin?
Justin and Frank.
Okay. In that office, and that requires Shoreline to go through their process. And they meet, I think, the second week of the month. So that we think will go quickly as well, right? Yep.
You guys have a great team for what it's worth over at the ALCO office. And for what it's worth, I've worked with the Army Corps across the country. The folks you have in Missoula are pretty amiable. The gist of it is we have to submit all the paperwork to demonstrate that we actually don't need a permit. Because the way that the project is being designed, we're ensuring that any place where we're going to run into a wetland or a stream, that we are at least 5 feet back from that if we're going to go into the ground. And then the method of construction is also something we are really focused on to ensure that we're using vibratory plow so that we're not pulling up dirt and then putting new dirt in that wasn't there before. That's what they're concerned about, or that there's runoff that gets into the streams and waterways. So we're doing an attestation to say that that isn't going to happen. We're designing it so that isn't going to happen. And once we get those both submitted to both organizations, the Army Corps and ALCO, they both basically said in our technical assistance meetings that the outcome is that we get a letter saying that we don't need permits. for that.
So we're working through that. And when Adam talked about the vibratory plow, we've worked in this industry a lot, but US Army Corps of Engineers really likes that. They want us to say that back to them so that we're using that. So when you talk to them, that is rest assured that we're using vibratory plow methods.
The other one, horizontal directional drilling and horizontal directional.
Yeah, okay. And then the county DOT permitting, working with Flathead County, Lake, Missoula, and Sanders County. So those are all the permitting required for the project. And I would say that all of the first 4, 5 are underway, and the county DOT will follow suit. And this is the core network. Again, take your time, look at it, and, and ask questions. If you want us to know, if you want to ask us questions, we can come back another time, but there's a lot of detail in there. And that's used by, I'd say probably Chuck and yeah, and you like to look at these maps and or these drawings. And so they can go through that with you as well. And this is the RF radio frequency coverage map. So this is, and I'd ask you, Mel, to go through that and like kind of the shades of yellow and what that means to people that live in these areas.
Sure, you can see where you see mostly like the yellow coverage area. Those are locations where you're going to get very adequate coverage. So it covers pretty much the whole entire area where people live. Those are the tower sites that with Kicking Horse being the 150-foot tower, but all the other towers will be 50-foot towers. I think there's one 60-foot here in Pablo, but that's the coverage that you'll get. And again, the fiber backbone is what's supporting this the wireless fixed wireless network using the tribe's 2.5 gigahertz license.
And we didn't talk about that or bring it up, but the tribe, it's just worth saying again that the tribe applied, like all tribes, the Federal Communication Commission gave federally recognized tribes an opportunity to apply for spectrum. And those that applied, probably all of them got it. If you applied, you got spectrum over your reservation. And so the deployment objectives were like build outs in 4 years. And then they extended it or worked with tribes to, if they were moving forward with it. So you have another asset, this 2.5 gigahertz spectrum that is being used on this project, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And we had conversations about some of these big carriers like T-Mobile. They were talking with us because we work with tribes, and they wanted to see how they could work. If those tribes weren't going to use it, they'd like them to transfer it to them. So it's so, and this industry is competitive on the wireless side. So just, and that was never our, that's never our goal. We like working with tribes that want to own and operate their systems and use their resources to improve their communities. That concludes our presentation. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I hope you get a rapid response with the individual trusts right of ways, because I would forecast that to be a problem. And then again, because the power poles are, a collective, a nonprofit, you're probably going to run into a roadblock with Mission Valley Power trying to replace poles. They have rate increases coming ahead, and so to add another burden of some increase that's not necessarily theirs might be a tough one. But
yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, and I have no solution, but what I have is a request that you consider how a tribe that owns both or operates, I know it's through a license or through an agreement for Mission Valley Power, but how that agreement could be used to benefit both. And if the burden for replacing poles is all on the project, maybe that's beyond maybe we just always go along with everything. But I thought if there's a way that can be shared costs, that would take a lot of, not a lot, but the a lift off this project have to to replace poles. That most likely would have to be replaced anyway.
I'll just kind of add to that, those poles that are failing that need to be replaced. It's only because there's other companies like Access Montana, maybe CenturyLink or whoever that's adding more loading to those poles. So it should be looked at as some kind of a shared, investment by all companies and not just your own, tribal ISP that you're looking at creating. So if there's some way of kind of leveraging, others to, share the costs, I think that'd be great too.
Now, Chuck, didn't you have a meeting with Mission Valley Power recently about those poles and how they have already come up with their plan for 2026?
There's a few, but not all of them. So we're gonna figure out the rest.
James?
Yeah, thank you. You just brought up the thing that I was wondering about, how many different entities might be using those poles and, yeah, so thank you for mentioning that because that was going to be my question.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that's, part of the Mission Valley Power obligation is to be preventative and do pole maintenance and replace them. But again, they're engineered for what their load is what their wires that they're hanging, not any others. So that burden to replace something because of the structure and wind events and fire events, and now they have to clear even lower because there's lower hanging wires, and so there's more clearing to do, more maintenance required. Those are all factors that they'll have to consider.
Well,
when we first got the grant, I thought it was all underground. I didn't know they were hanging it on Mission Valley power lines. I don't think council knew that either. So that came as a surprise to us.
okay. And I know that this isn't, but in our conversations with lands, sometimes I think it can, by just putting this on the table, there are companies that have their communication facilities on those poles and don't have authorization to be on those poles. And we wondered about that as we did our field assessment work. How did they come and, and that was clarified today, that in a lot of instances, or many instances, they don't have authority to be on those, and they're under review right now. So just when you do a project like this, it really it has tentacles that go out, and I want to tread gingerly on that, but ultimately it's something that is important to note because this project could, if others don't follow those practices, it's imposed on the tribal project, to follow those practices.
you digging up the skeletons?
Mhm. And it's not, and we know it's, yeah, it's not you, yeah, not 5 feet from the, but, no, but I also want to say that that isn't unique to this tribe. We know that a lot of companies that operate, they haven't done haven't had fulfill their requirements. And so that's kind of more common than not.
The chairman and council, I think, this issue, every tribe in the country is facing right now. So don't feel like you're going at this alone. For what it's worth, AT&I has had this as a topic, for example, like everybody across the country, I don't care what region you're in, the power companies are putting up a fight over this issue. So any way you guys could address that, you frankly could be leading on this issue. And more broadly, I think one thing I just like to share from a perspective standpoint is you guys are positioned not just to lead on the pole attachment, you guys are actually positioned to lead on how digital sovereignty is exercised and defined for the next set of generations. That you as a tribe are positioned to do that in front of almost everybody in the country. So I don't want to put too much of a burden on your shoulders because I know you guys carry a lot. But for what it's worth, you guys are positioned to really flex, if that's a word you guys use, your digital sovereignty muscles in a way that that the telecom guys, I think, are a little intimidated by too. I mean, so that is the other part of this business. It's a business, right? But you should be encouraged for what it's worth, with where you guys are at in the process. There's been a lot of hurdles thrown at this program and at this tribe in particular, and you guys have overcome every single one of them despite the challenges. So, we'll navigate the poll issues, how we have to navigate them. But I can tell you, owning your infrastructure and controlling your data is the gold of the future for what it's worth.
What's that? Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Now I can breathe.
Well, that's because of one councilman you got.
Question I couldn't answer, or we couldn't. So thank you all very much. We appreciate your time. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, you're gonna see me out in the field because I'm a hands-on person. I'll oversee the construction. I've designed the network, but I do really encourage that if you see me out there, come approach me, ask me how things are going, because I mean, I do like that as well. It's kind of like both way communications, but personally, just to see you out in the field, that says a lot about, your support of the project, and it's good to see that always from the council. Yeah, so.
Appreciate that.
And when Mel's been out in the field on other reservations, they ask him if he's running for council. It's true.
Yeah.
Council elections with 2 weeks.
Phillips.
Going for this person. Yeah. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Good chat. Thank you. Good expertise. Thank you. Appreciate your work. Thank you, Madonna. Thank you. Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Ah.
Did it move there? Get alcohol.
I'll see you out there.
Greg just has a quick update.
Just want to let you know that all the per capita checks were printed and sent out on Tuesday to the U.S. Postal Service for delivery on Wednesday. All of the electronic deposits were uploaded Tuesday for effective date on Wednesday. We typically see about 24 to 48 rejected from the bank. Maybe the bank account was closed. Maybe the account number was changed. Maybe we missed a routing number. We've been working all day through enrollment to get those corrected, and that's a typical part of it. We don't know if the member has changed their account, but we've done all that we have done historically the same manner. Checks went out Tuesday. Digital deposits were effective Wednesday the 3rd. And we're working through those corrections.
If, say for instance, you had a loan at credit and the additional $100 is not assigned, do you have to sign something for that money to be assigned, or can the department automatically just assign that to a loan?
I'll find out for you, but in most of the language that I've seen on the per capita holds, it notes the hold of the per capita, not the amount. It doesn't designate that you're allowed to hold just 4 or just 5 or just 6. It denotes that the per capita is subject to hold. That's the language I've seen in many of them, and the adjustments were made in advance of the raise.
Che hoy.